Good morning, everyone. My name is Adam Livingston, and I am the Bitcoin Wizard, so welcome to the greatest freak show on earth, the United States economy. You've been told it's the strongest in the world. Headlines brag about growth, jobs, prosperity, but look around, your grocery bill looks like a ransom note. Your bank balance evaporates like piss in the desert, and you're working 3 jobs just to afford breakfast sausage for your little cousin Ricky. I'm sure your sister will be out of treatment soon, don't worry. So this whole thing is fake. It's a Potemkin village built on accounting tricks, press releases, and whatever numbers they pulled out of the Fed's purse this morning. We don't have an economy, we have a carnival. GDP is a funhouse mirror, Wall Street is a slot machine, and the dollar is monopoly money blessed by a central bank that hasn't been sober since 1913. And the best part, they've convinced you this is normal. They pat you on the head and say, don't worry, inflation is under control. Meanwhile, you're standing in Target staring at a box of cereal that got smaller, more expensive, and now has a QR code that probably steals your social security number. So this presentation this morning is not going to be polite. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to rip the mask off of the clown and show you that what you thought was solid ground is quicksand held together with duct tape and lies. Your entire economy is fake, and by the time we're done here, you'll either laugh until you cry or cry until you buy Bitcoin. So here's the deal. On paper, the US economy looks like the cover of Forbes. Big shiny numbers, record stock market highs, politicians waving around bar graphs like they just cured cancer. But underneath, it's a hall of mirrors. The whole thing is designed to keep you dazzled while they quietly mug you in the parking lot. Think about it. They say the GDP is booming. Great, except GDP goes up if a hurricane wipes out half a city, because then we stimulate the economy by rebuilding it. Amazing. Destruction equals progress. You can't make this up. They brag about unemployment only being 3.5%. That sounds great until you realize that doesn't count half the people who gave up looking, or the guy juggling Uber, DoorDash, and OnlyFans just to make rent. That's not full employment, that's indentured servitude with surge pricing. And then there's inflation. They'll tell you it's under control, 3% or whatever. Meanwhile, your rent is up 25%. And the ice cream pint is now a thimble with sprinkles. Their numbers come from surveys asking homeowners what they think their house would rent for, not their mortgage payment, their imagination. That's the science that they're using. The economy is literally being measured by vibes. So my mission today, I'm not here to bore you with jargon. I'm here to show you the circus act behind the curtain, then point to the emergency exit. Because yes, there is one, and spoiler alert, it's not called the S&P 500, and it definitely isn't your savings account. Value conjured by keystrokes, that's not me being dramatic. That's literally how this whole game works. You think money is earned, saved, and stored? No. Money is printed, typed into existence on a central banker's laptop while they sip Chardonnay and decide whether or not you can afford rent this year. From January 2020 to December 2021, we increased the money supply by 39%. 39! That's not stimulus, that's what a counterfeiter does before the cops kick down the door. Only difference is when they do it, they call it monetary policy. And then get this, in March 2020, the Fed decided banks don't even need to keep reserves anymore. Zero. Nothing. That means your bank is like your drunk uncle at the blackjack table. He has no chips left, but the casino still lets him bet because, hey, we'll bail him out later. Oh, and when those banks loaded up on bonds that tanked the minute interest rates went up, instead of taking the loss like adults, they got a magic program, the Bank Term Funding Program. Translation, hey, borrow against those bonds as if they're still worth full price. Don't worry, we'll all pretend together. This isn't capitalism in this country, folks. This is Disneyland. It's Mickey Mouse with a money printer strapped to his back. And you're supposed to clap while he hands you a balloon that loses value every second that you hold it. They'll tell you inflation is under control. Don't worry, it's just 3%. 3%. They say it like it's nothing, like you're the crazy one for noticing your grocery cart went from overflowing to looking like you're prepping for a camping trip. Here's the trick: 35% of CPI is shelter. And a fat chunk of that, 26%, is owner's equivalent rent. What is that? That's not your mortgage. It's not your rent check. It's literally a survey where the government calls up homeowners and says, hey, what do you think your house would rent for? And then they write that down like it's a hard statistic. It's not economics remotely. It's astrology with Microsoft Excel. So while your landlord is jacking your rent 25% and mortgage rates are at 7%, the official line is, relax, housing costs are stable because the numbers are based on make-believe. It's like measuring hunger by asking people how much pizza they imagine they could eat. And don't even get me started on shrinkflation. They'll say it's counted, but the impact is less than 0.1%. Meanwhile, you're standing in the aisle holding a bag of chips that now has 4 Doritos in it, and it costs $7, but sure, 0.1%. This is the part where people lose their minds because you feel the truth in the wallet every single day, and they're gaslighting you with charts. It's not just fake at this point, it's insulting. They're basically telling you, ignore your lying eyes, we've got the math handled. Ladies and gentlemen, inflation isn't a statistic, it's theft, gift wrap, and their own index. So now let's talk about the fake growth metrics. Ah yes, the GDP, the gross domestic product, the holy scripture of the legacy finance system, the number they worship like it's the heartbeat of America itself. But let me explain how it works. If a hurricane wipes out half a city and we spend billions, the GDP goes up, destruction equals growth, congratulations, we're richer now because we had to replace roofs, rebuild homes, and buy new cars. By that logic, if the nation was set ablaze tomorrow, we'd be the richest nation in history. Then we've got the imaginary transactions. Remember the owner's equivalent rent, the debt-fueled illusion, the GDP going up every time Uncle Sam maxes out another credit card. They'll call it stimulus, infrastructure, investments, but strip away the debt and growth flatlines. We don't live in prosperity, we live with an IV drip of borrowed money. Meanwhile, you've got zombie companies, corporations that should be dead but are propped up on cheap Fed liquidity. They don't make profits, they make interest payments. They're not businesses, they're economic cosplay. So when they brag about GDP rising, remember, it's not a reflection of real wealth, it's a carnival trick. A smoke machine. It's the economic equivalent of flexing a leased Lamborghini on Instagram while your credit score is bleeding out on the street. Let's talk a little bit more about their inflation number. Did you know that with 3% inflation every single year, in 30 years, 50% of your purchasing power is totally vaporized? That's correct. That's why it's necessary to buy Bitcoin, not for you, but for your own children. That's right. Look it up. Ask ChatGPT how much of my purchasing power is destroyed with 3% inflation every year for 30 years. And remember, they call this level of inflation healthy. What are they going to call healthy next? Cancer? AIDS? And remember, they call having 4 gig jobs job creation. By their logic, if I drive Uber, deliver Chipotle, and mow lawns in the same day, I've single-handedly saved the economy. And wages, they might be nominally up, sure, but after inflation, it's been flat since the 1970s. 50 years of productivity skyrocketing, but your paycheck did not. All that extra wealth went upstairs straight into asset bubbles, buybacks, and Hampton mansions. So when the White House pats itself on the back about the strong labor market, what they're really celebrating is your slow motion descent into modern serfdom. You're not middle class anymore, you're a tired gladiator in the gig arena, fighting algorithms for tips that don't even cover your gas. So welcome to the greatest casino in human history, the American stock market. The legacy system will tell you this is about capital formation and efficient allocation of resources. No, it's a slot machine dressed in a suit. It's a strip club with fluorescent lighting. Let's start with the 0 days to expire option. 61% of S&P trades now expire the same day. Do you know what that means? That means Wall Street has turned into a degenerate Vegas playbook for Ivy League cokeheads. It's DraftKings for guys in Patagonia vests. They're not investing, they're betting on whether the markets will burp in the next 4 hours. This isn't capital markets anymore. This is day trading scratch-off tickets. And then we have the stock buybacks. In Q1 2025, S&P companies spent $236 billion buying back their own shares. That's not capitalism, kids. That's corporate liposuction. They can't grow their earnings, so they starve the float until their earnings per share looks good. It's like putting a filter on your Tinder profile, the illusion of hotness, but underneath you're still balding, divorced, and living in your mom's basement. And you're just laying back on the couch, breathing in the black mold, picking the lint out of your belly button hairs while pressing play on your scratched Family Guy DVDs. So don't even get me started on passive flows. 62% of US equity funds are passive now. That means money just gets shoveled into the same 500 companies regardless of what they're worth. This is not investing, it's financial communism. We've basically outsourced capital allocation to an algorithm run by a Vanguard intern in sweatpants. So here's the truth. The market isn't about fundamentals anymore. It's about liquidity. Is Jerome Powell printing? Stocks go up. Is he tightening? Stocks go down. It's Pavlov's dog, except the dog is your retirement account and the bell is Powell wheezing into a microphone. This is not a free market. This is a van labeled free candy parked outside your 401k. You walk in thinking you get to financial independence, and instead you wake up in a basement chained to a radiator, watching Mad Money, watching Jim Cramer scream, buy, 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 while you lose everything. And remember, every company on that ticker has Vietnamese kids sewing polyester underwear for 14 cents an hour just so the CEO can cash his options package and buy his third yacht. You're not buying into innovation, you're buying into a sweatshop empire wrapped in an ESG PowerPoint. The stock market is fake, it's not capitalism, it's a Ponzi scheme with better marketing. And you're the exit liquidity. So when we talk about the banks, the people you trust with your money, the vaults, the marble lobbies, the patriotic eagle logos, it all screams stability, doesn't it? But peel the wallpaper and what do you have? A clown show run by magicians who couldn't pass a high school math class without a bailout. Here's how it works. You put $1,000 in the bank. You think they keep it safe? Wrong. They keep about $100 and loan the other $900 out to some guy starting a vape shop in rural Ohio. That's called fractional reserve banking. It's like giving your babysitter $20 to order pizza, and she immediately spends $18 on scratch-offs and tell you not to worry because she has a system. And when interest rates went up, banks got obliterated. They loaded up on bonds at 1% yields, and when those tanked, they suddenly had about $395 billion in unrealized losses. That was all sitting on their books in Q2 2025. But instead of admitting they blew it, they just said, no, those aren't losses. We're just holding them to maturity. That's not finance, that's a hostage situation. When Silicon Valley Bank imploded in 2023, you'd think we'd learn. Nope, the Fed rolled out the Bank Term Funding Program so banks could hand in their junk bonds as collateral at full price. Imagine pawning your broken Xbox at GameStop and the cashier gives you the sticker price like it's brand new. That's literally what they did. And don't forget, since 2020, reserve requirements are 0%. Zero, meaning banks are legally allowed to keep nothing. Your bank account is literally a Chuck E. Cheese token IOU. They don't have the money. They never did. Banks aren't safe. They're your crackhead grandpa at Thanksgiving who swears he's sober while he's face down in the gravy. 2008 taught us that banks were too big to fail. 2023 taught us they're too big to even mark to market. And 2025, well, now they're too big to even pretend they're solvent. The entire system runs on one thing only: your belief. safe. If people stopped believing tomorrow, the whole facade collapses like a Jenga tower in a hurricane. Banks are fake. The deposits are fake. The solvency is fake. The only thing, the fees they charge you for overdrafting on a $4 coffee. The United States of America is the greatest debtor in the history of civilization. Rome had bread and circuses. We've got $37.4 trillion in debt, and a Congress that treats the Treasury like a fraternity king. Every year, we pay over $1 trillion in interest. That's more than defense spending. We're literally spending more to service debt than to fund the military-industrial complex. And that's saying something. We've become the guy who maxes out a Visa card, takes out a MasterCard to pay the Visa, then celebrates because his credit score hasn't dropped yet. And then there's the debt ceiling. Oh, the theater. Every year they wheel out the same play. Politicians shaking fists, threatening default, and then shock. They raise it every single time. It's like watching WWE, except instead of sweaty men in tights, it's 80-year-old senators in diapers pretending they're fighting for the people. The US government does not run on taxes. It runs on borrowing from the future, lighting it on fire, and calling the smoke economic growth. It's not solvency, it's financial necromancy. We're reanimating the corpse of prosperity with debt and praying nobody notices the smell. We will never pay this thing off, ever. You could confiscate every billionaire's fortune, every 401k, every house, and it wouldn't cover it. The plan is not repayments. The plan is to roll it over forever while you and your grandchildren sweat under the weight of interest payments. So when people say the dollar is backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government, remember, the credit is maxed out, the faith is a Ponzi scheme, and the collateral is your future. America isn't the world's reserve currency, it's the world's subprime mortgage, and you're the cosigner. Here's the thing, after all the smoke and mirrors, the debt orgies, the accounting tricks, we've got one question left. What is real? Fiat money is infinite. They can print it until your grandkids are trading wheelbarrows of cash for expired Lunchables. The dollar is backed by nothing but vibes, drone strikes, and whatever pills J.D. Vance keeps in his purse. The system is so rotten that you can see it on the streets. Obese women in yoga pants collapsed on sidewalks, overdosing on heroin they bought with EBT cards while a Chick-fil-A ad plays on a 4K screen above their heads. That's the American dream in 2025. Fentanyl, food stamps, and finance bros trading options on their iPhones while waiting in line at Sweet Green. And in the middle of this freak show, the collapsing carnival of fake prosperity stands the one asset that they can't counterfeit. It's Bitcoin. It has 21 million units, period. No committee, no bailout program, no sweaty senator in a diaper can change that. It's transparent, it's uncensorable, it's yours if you hold the keys, not some IOU from Wells Fargo, not a Chase account where they freeze your money because you bought a book called How to Hide Assets from the IRS. Institutions are piling in. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF already has over $80 billion. They see the writing on the wall. They're not stupid, they're rats, but they know when the ship is sinking. And here's the truth, you don't have to be their exit liquidity. You don't have to go down with the obese heroin chick. You don't have to go down with Jim Cramer's terrible stock picks and a government that thinks debt ceilings are a Netflix drama. You can opt out. So yeah, your entire economy is fake, but Bitcoin is real. And the only punchline better than surviving the collapse is watching it burn from the outside while your net worth is denominated in something that they can't print. Opt out of the fakery, buy Bitcoin, or stay in the clown car. It's your funeral. My name is Adam Livingston. I am the Bitcoin Wizard. If you enjoyed this content, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and help me spread the orange pill of Bitcoin to the masses. Have a terrific day, my dearest little goblin children. Class dismissed.